Thank you, Mr. Ochola. I'd just like to ask you one or two questions about your experience today at the engagement meeting, please.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me thank the University of BedfordShire for the warm reception and welcoming. You know, I arrived when I was tired. I'm just landed from New York, where we have just passed very crucial goals, which is touching. One of them is education, and was given a key role. And today, in my engagement and discussion at this university, I realized the UK as in terms of checking the Millennium Goals, which we just closed the other day in New York, they have done so much far and much better and meeting the goals. So what I just need to say is that the system here is so much nice, good, accommodative, and open for the people who want to explore the world of professional for their career in developing the countries.
Yes, yes, thank you very much. What do you say to people who say that most of the leaders in Africa are not really engaging well with education, especially now that we are coming to the end of Millennium Development Goals, and you guys have just launched the Sustainable Development Goals? What do you say to those who say that African leaders are not properly engaging with education?
I want to agree with them. On the other hand, I will disagree because one, I want to agree because if you to look into issues, especially if I take example for a country like Kenya. You know, Kenya, we have come from far, and if you compare the education system now and the education system in 90s, you will realize that at least we have come in a bit level whereby we are in a competition with other countries like UK. And on the other hand, I want to say that our leaders have not engaged so much what is needed, because if you consider the global funds which are going to Africa for the education, there's a lot of money which needs to be put in use to make our education better for our people. For example, you have seen the issue of accommodation for the student here. It's far much, it's available, cheap, and also
affordable to most of the students, whatever their background.
And the background as you are confirming. And those are some of the things which we need to put in our universities. Second thing, we need to lower the university fee and the cost so that every common citizen in Africa can access the university education so that they advance their career.
Absolutely.
The third one, we must make sure that at least every corner of our country there's accessibility. There's a university, there's a college, there's somewhere where people can advance their studies. So therefore, I want to say that our leaders, as much as we are engaged in most of the global summit, the treaties, the agreement, like what we did yesterday in New York, we are putting them on paper, but now in implementation,
time to implement.
It becomes a problem.
Yeah.
My country, Kenya, is best in policy. We are good in making policy papers, policy thesis, but now when it comes to implementation, it becomes a problem. That's what is happening.
Thank you very much. What do you think of people who are saying that perhaps we are taking too much of the Western education system and not really bringing in education that is more applicable to the African setting? For example, as somebody from Africa, I believe that we are ignoring education that is applicable and usable to us. For example, let's say, students who come from Mombasa, students who come from Lake Victoria. Would it be nice if we have students who are able to do their research on the ecosystems within their area, so that at the end of their university education they are able to apply all that knowledge to support their regions?
One thing I want to say is that Africa needs to change their curriculum. We need to come out from the culture and the beliefs and realize that now the world has come from civilization up to modernization, whereby things are now modern. The same doctor who treats malaria in UK is the same, because malaria is one. The same malaria in Africa is the same malaria affecting somebody who is in UK, and the same doctor will treat the same. So what we need to do is to modernize our system, to educate our people, not as only profession, but also as a practice. I mean, whereby somebody is understanding what he's doing. You don't become a doctor just by a study, but you become a doctor by a call.
Yes.
Yeah. We need to change our education, not to become as a salary-making tool.
Yes.
But becomes,
education that is more applicable
which,
to the lives of the
is
people.
affecting your life, you yourself. It's affection. It's something which you feel it, that I need to help my people out of this, not I need to fill my pocket. That is what we need to do.
Excellent.
So,
okay.
that is what I can say.
Yes. One thing that has been a problem, even as the Sustainable Development goals were being launched, is the fact that education is still not accessible to so many people. And I know that you have mentioned this at the beginning, that education somehow still remains for the elite. What do you think are some of the things, because so far very few students make it to the university in Africa. Majority of the students just live at intermediate level or at secondary high school level. What do you think should be done to make sure that education is inclusive and is accessible to the poor, very poor person in the village?
One thing I said is that we need to subsidize the cost of university studies. If you take countries like Scotland, I hear people are going to university for free.
Yeah.
Reason, it's being subsidized through the VAT, through the tax people are paying. So people can get the meaning of the tax they are paying. In Kenya, the VAT, we are paying higher. At the same time, we are not getting the advantage of what we are paying. So it's better the government charge people higher tax, but you lower the production. I mean, you lower the fee, the cost of studies for the university. 2, secondary, primary, early childhood development, and village polytechnics should be free for our African children, because we talk of free education and yet we are still paying some fee. Why? Because we don't mean what we are saying. We are preaching water, but we are getting wine inside us. So we need to change some of the attitudes, some of the practice, some of the cultures how we are handling education issue. Because without education, we will still remain poor in Africa. Without education, people will still suffer. Without education, the community will be poor. So this is how we can enlarge our people. So we need to invest much. All these funds we are receiving, the global funds, the donations, the friends, the countries we are partnering with, the first thing we need to put is education. 2, we need to put the issue of health. Then we need to put communication. The modern technology way of communicate. People can now study even in the houses. You see, that is bringing education closer to people. And that is why you see in our country we have a problem, because we fail to understand why we cannot handle the issue, the ongoing crisis of education now. Check how we can review our budget, allocate fund, pay teachers, because that is the backbone of the development and the sustainable future of our country. So the advice I can give is that let the government review. And there are some areas where we are giving a lot of money, but they are not priority in the system. So we need to review such areas and we allocate higher percentage of our revenue to education, and we will make our life better. I think that is what we can do. Otherwise,
thank you very much.
I appreciate. God bless you. I'm happy to be at the University of BedfordShire, and I'm looking for the future engagement between this university and our universities in Kenya and our students. And I'm also happy that Kenyan students are here who are studying here and doing well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Lovely speaking to you. And I hope all those policy issues that you have touched today are going to be part of the engagement, even as we continue with this week of engagement.
And maybe one thing I need to say there is, British knows very well that we have a very strong tie and connection with them. So they also need, as our we call them our elder brothers, they need sometimes to look back and say, oh, our brothers down there, we know what happened and we know how we have come from. So they need to advise, keep on advising, and sometimes I normally tell people that in leadership, you need to use dictatorship to make things work for the better of both of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.